is Jasmine. I'm from Orlando, born and raised, and we have been married for 10 years.
My name is Cedric Daniel Jones II. I am from Boston, Massachusetts, Jessup, Georgia, Brunswick, Georgia.
We're going to go from there?
That's how
okay, no, I'll do it because you're going to go.
Well, I'm a man. I ain't giving you all these details.
Okay, so I was in the military for 5 years before I met Cedric. I got stationed in Fort Stewart, Georgia, where I met Cedric. Cedric stalked me.
No.
In my inbox on Facebook.
I was following instructions.
He slid in my DM.
Thank you.
Messenger on Facebook.
Yeah.
In the beginning of 2011. In February of 2011, which is my birthday month, we started having conversations.
We did.
So from February to June, our conversations blossomed.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. They blossomed.
We blossomed. And then June.
June what?
In June, we began dating. And then September, we got married. September 1st.
You didn't give them all the juice in this. So she ignored me for the whole February to June process until I brought her a cheesecake, a butterfly, and what was the purple thing, a balloon? So anyway, she loves cheesecake.
A candle.
No, the candle was when I came back from Revival in Boston. Oh. So I brought her a cheesecake, which is a favorite dessert. I brought her a purple balloon, and I brought her an orange butterfly. So after church, I put it on her car, and everybody left. So when she came back, she saw it. That's when she started. That's the first time I saw her smile in 2 to 3 months.
Thank you.
So how if you weren't talking to her, how you know her?
No, we were talking. We were in communication, but she was like very bland because she was talking to some dreadhead that worked at Walmart.
I had options.
Yeah.
I explored all of my
So
options.
I had to secure my footing.
Did you not like Cedric?
No, she didn't. I was too big. Yeah, we ain't finna sugarcoat this. No, I was too big.
It was not that you was too big.
I was too big. She didn't want to be with a minister.
Right.
So I had to make sure everything was going okay to make her not focus on the obvious things.
I was friend zoning Cedric only because
I was too big and I was a minister.
How you gonna tell? That's not my truth. Though.
Well, tell your truth.
I put Cedric in the friend zone because I was very athletic. He was a preacher, and I did not want a preacher because I was still in my hood days.
She is in her hood days.
It was hooder. That's not even a word. It's not a
Oh, you really want to ask about the proposal? We got married September 1st, 2011. No. We got married September 1st, 2011.
So what happened was I was getting ready to deploy, so I had to go to training. When I left for training, Cedric was still in my friend zone. So what happened was that I think our conversations kind of shifted because I was looking for someone that was not spiritual. I wanted someone that was more so hood-like that would be able to fit in with my family. But Cedric was good for my spirit. Even though physically he was not who I was looking for, but spiritually he was who I needed at that moment.
That's good English.
So some conversations was what we were having while I was gone, and it made me realize, like, did I want someone that was compatible with me spiritually, or did I prefer someone who was compatible with me physically? When I came back from NTC, you picked me up from the airport.
I picked you up from the airport.
And then you was like, we was talking about dating, and I said, no, you have to ask my parents.
Ask Pastor Mary and ask your grandma.
Right. So then I went to NTC before that.
Absolutely.
So when I was going for training, we were talking.
Now you're right.
Yeah, we were
now
talking.
You're right.
We were talking, but he was still in the friend zone.
Yeah.
So I had options.
Y'all went dating marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's normally how it do.
There's no engagement.
Yeah.
Because you have to remember, I'm military, and so I had orders to leave.
And we got muscle-bound people in the military. We got dark-skinned dudes in the military and all that stuff, and I ain't had time. Yeah, I ain't got time for all that.
And so because I was getting ready to leave, my biggest thing was I never wanted to deploy with a boyfriend, or I never wanted to.
Was you worried?
I'm sorry?
Was you worried or something?
I wasn't worried. I just don't like to be, no. I like options. I'm telling you, just God works in mysterious ways. Our orders got canceled.
Yeah.
So how did that work in your mind?
In my mind, I thought, first I was kind of upset because I was like, dang, I could have went to the floor with Mary and got extra money while I was gone.
That was her goal.
So,
she wanted to get married so she can get more money while deployed.
No, that was not, because I had my sister. I had custody of my sister before we got married.
You
So
right.
I didn't need a husband when I got married. I had a dependent.
We need to start another session.
I'm sorry, I didn't need a husband when I deployed because I already had a dependent,
We need to
because I
start
had custody
another
of my younger sister.
session.
So
Why the yes?
the yes for me was I was not going to move to another duty station or to a deployment with just a boyfriend.
What's it got to do with sex?
Oh, I wasn't going to go.
Yeah.
I wasn't traveling as a non-dependent spouse of the military.
Like, he was willing to come and visit, and he was talking about he would move there, but I was like, yeah, no, you're not moving unless we're married.
We ain't doing that. Not in holiness.
So, okay, so good. So here's my thing. Those answers answered the business portion of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why yes to the person?
She was cute.
I got your end.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my end.
Yeah.
Spiritually, I needed to.
That's too deep for me.
No, I'm just going to tell my truth. Spiritually, I didn't need a hood person in the spirit. I needed someone that can calm me down, because I'm a wild person. Spiritually and physically, I'm a wild person. So I kind of needed someone that can calm me in a sense. And Cedric was that person that can calm me just by his looks. He can look at me a certain way, and I already knew that I didn't have anything to worry about, physically or spiritually.
So we tie into the spiritual piece. What was there? Counseling? You talked to your pastor. Y'all went to the same church, right?
Yes.
So what was marriage counseling looking like?
Nothing. We went through a session that really wasn't beneficial, to be respectful. The main question, well, I don't want to say what the main question was. There was a main question that was asked, that was answered, and that was that. So there was one session that probably lasted no more than an hour. It was lunch. So literally we went into marriage without an honest look at what marriage was. And literally we had to figure it out day by day, step by step. So it was sporadic sessions in between marriages. Okay, we have an issue, let's go talk to the pastor. Oh, we're having an issue, let's go talk to the pastor, and stuff like that. But it wasn't like premarital counseling where you sit down and you divulge your past and you divulge your history. Because during the dating stage, respectfully, we put up the best image we could of who we were, or who we wanted to be, or what we wanted the person to see. So that's who we thought we were marrying. But when it came down to being honest, reality seeped through when we met family members, and family got involved, and history came back to the forefront, and things of that nature. So
You got to know each other.
then we got to know who really the other person was. Even 5 years into it, we figured out, oh, you're not as strong as you portrayed. You are vulnerable. You are emotional. Oh wait, you're not emotionalist as you thought you. I portrayed being non-emotional, stuff of that nature. So we learned each other within the course of 10 years. Now we're on the bend of, okay, we're good. This is who we are. This is what we're going to be. We'll address the situations as it progresses. Oh, no. Do we need to clear the room or what?
Oh,
I'm doing all right.
That counseling piece.
we I mean, honestly, I didn't have an issue with counseling, because being in the military, I had to go through anger management counseling sessions.
We did sessions with the military.
So we did sessions with the military, but
yeah.
the difference between the military counseling and then doing counseling with someone that's spiritual, it was a completely different like experience. it wasn't weird. It wasn't bad. It was
Yeah.
a good experience doing both. But when we met Jared, we got the best of both worlds.
I ain't like him.
It wasn't always spiritual when we talked to Jared. With Jared,
Yeah.
it was kind of like,
That
no,
made me nervous.
we're going to get to the root of the natural
His
problem
first question, tell me about your parents. Whoa.
Right. But going through spiritual counseling, the first thing they always say is, oh, this is a spiritual battle. And at the time when we was coming to Jared, I started questioning my spiritual walk. I started feeling like, if we doing all of this church stuff and I'm still having issues in my marriage and we cannot get to the root of the issue, then what's the point of me doing, who is this God that I say I'm serving?
I think they tried to make it so spiritual till it wasn't common sense applications.
Yeah.
Just pray about it. All right. We've been praying for 5 years and this thing's about to end. So we had to get to the root of, no, you didn't like your mama, so now you got problems with the person trying to love you because you wasn't loved correctly.
Right.
Well, I met him through work. He was marrying a couple at work, and I'm very involved with all the weddings that we have here. I was the catering manager at the time. So we were sitting in the room, and he asked a question. I was like, oh, wait, I think he know God for real. He just ain't wearing a collar. So I'm like, okay, cool. Then he showed up in his vestments. I said, okay, he's skinny. He dresses real nice. We good. But then the ceremony, all of his language was like, yo, this dude ain't playing. Like, he really, through the counseling sessions, you know, was helping him and stuff like that. So I said, well, maybe he'll help eventually if we need it, when we need it. So I'm sure I did something, and my wife got upset. Oh, I'm going to leave. I said, okay, cool. But before you do, I always seek counsel before I make the final decision.
So what led up, Cedric was getting ready to start a ministry. And so I did not want to start a ministry without us first dealing with our marital issues, is originally why we reached out to Jared. I trusted them with being vulnerable. And it's very rare that I am vulnerable with anybody to share my feelings.
Yeah, I was comfortable
like
being vulnerable because I could beat him up.
Well,
so, you know.
Yeah, he was
I was cool with it. I could beat him up if he was vulnerable. So I was cool with it. Because he knew if he was going to know all my business, I was going to have to either bury you somewhere where nobody can find you or beat you up. And he looks like a person I can beat up.
He's rather small. Now you go
Yeah.
to the question.
Get together.
right. Right there.
So it was a dark season, and you all were on the brink of like, that's it.
Yeah.
Put us in that light.
I don't remember what it was. I know she showed up without her wedding ring, so it was something serious. I can't remember what happened.
I don't know why the guys never can remember what happened.
I do too much, so I don't remember which instance this was. What'd you do this time? I don't know. I ain't pay a bill. I don't know.
Everything from the date, the time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so what brought us to that breaking point was because we didn't have a clear foundation. We did not have proper premarital counseling. So we didn't know how to communicate at that point. We knew how to talk at each other, but not listen to what we were saying. And at that point, I was not direct with my feelings. I would beat around the bush and want him to figure it out, to figure out, why am I upset? When I just say, hey, I'm upset or I'm unhappy, I couldn't put into words why I was unhappy, but I was being unfair to Cedric because I felt like Cedric should figure it out. He should already know like what made me upset at that point. So when we came to Jared, I was ready to just walk away because I felt like I was being put in a box, a first lady box. And I felt like I couldn't be the tattoo dreadhead person that I really wanted to be.
Yeah, I think that was the unfortunate thing and the regret of ever thinking about going into ministry or starting a ministry. The effects it would have on my family. My son would be scrutinized for everything that he does. My wife would be viewed and scrutinized and torn apart for everything that she does. And you know, for me, it was simple. I didn't marry anybody's first lady. I married Jasmine. But the church world can sometimes be unfair to that. and say, oh, you, how you gonna pastor me and you don't do that? Well, my home is my home, and the church is the church. It's two separate worlds for me, and I don't think a lot of people could receive that, hear that, and respect that. So, you know, I felt in that moment, either you're trying to control the scenario or you just don't want to say, I don't want you to be a pastor. And if that's the case, say it. Okay, fine, I'll put it on the back burner, but we'll make a decision. It'll be what it is. And the communication was a big issue during that time. I wasn't communicating effectively. For the sake of peace, I would just shut up and go along with the flow. But on the inside, it would be, I'm not happy. What do you want me to do? Oh, you want to be a husband, but to what? So all of those things stormed into marriage and sat there like a flood for a while until we were able to learn to effectively communicate. Because when you do this, it makes me feel like, I think that was the only thing we walked away with from the whole session. What I hear you say is, no, that's not what I'm saying. So those things really helped to understand, you know, you have feelings and you have emotions, but we have to learn how to communicate where the other person hears it instead of assuming what we're trying to say. So
my mom and my dad never married. So I don't have a foundation of marriage. I didn't find out that my auntie and my uncle, who were at that time growing up, were the only married people in our family. I didn't know that they were not married until at his funeral. And they had been together for like over 20 years. And so that crushed me to know that the people that I looked up to as far as marriage was not really married. So I came from a background where marriages did not last, or we weren't married. And so we were just together and shacking up, but we weren't married. So being married or marriage itself was scary for me because I didn't have a foundation.
But for me, so my father was a pastor, my mom a first lady, my grandparents pastor and first lady, but my parents' marriage failed. A few of my uncles' marriages failed, and everybody's in ministry. So my image was ministry in the church breaks up a marriage. That was my whole aura. So, you know, I never understood why the perfect image of a marriage, looking at my parents, failed. So for me, when I got married, my concern was what's going to make my marriage fail at this time. So I always was cognizant of and concerned about what I would do as a husband or how I would be as a father when it came down to marriage. So my fear was I'm going to be who my daddy was to my mom or whatever, or make the mistakes that he made or whatever. And that was the big concern for me. So I tried to be very accommodating to my wife. So the whole thing about my dad is...
Before you get to that, how did we get to your dad? You all are sitting with me.
That's the first question you asked. Yeah, the first question you ask is, so tell me about your parents. And I would always say my mom, or my mommy or something like that. And he picked up, oh, well, what about your dad? And I said, what about him? Yeah. So that was the first question he asked. And I got upset. Like, I was like, first of all, who are you? And why you want to know all my business? Because that was a real personal, private part of my life. But yeah, that was the first question he asked, was how's my dad?
But that was a really good question, though, when we first started going, which is why I wanted to keep going back to dig to the root. Because out of all the counseling sessions we have ever been to, we have never was asked about our family dynamics or our family's background. And I think going with Jared, it opened up a lot of wounds that I wanted to keep covered, but it was good that I needed to pull the scab off and deal with the root of the issue. And I think that's the root of the issue for both of us, was that it was our parents.
We saw, yeah.
It was what we saw.
I think it got to the point where like, wait, is the day we go to counseling? Oh man. So we were excited to go. But you know, it got to the point where we were excited to go because we saw that after every session, like we drove separate cars, but then we started driving the same car to sessions and stuff like that. And then we were excited about the conversations that would come up after the sessions. And then, you know, you just felt the weight lift after every session. So when it ended, he started that one like, so this would be the last session. We were like, why? You need some more money or something? Like what? What's going on? why we need to end it here? because the benefit of it was extremely beneficial.
And honestly, that was a shift.
That was the
in our
saving.
marriage.
That saved the marriage.
Yeah, because we haven't really had any big powwows since then. I think one.
Okay.
It was one, but it.
It's always my fault. It's always negative.
About 3. -3.
-6.
Year 1 was horrible.
So like 5.5. So year 5. Give me the rating for year 5.
5.
5.
And now we are in year 10 going to 11?
Going into year 10.
No, we're going in September 1st to be 10.
10.
Yeah.
Give me a number.
We're 8, 9.
9? I'll say 9.
Yeah.
9.
Yeah. She's cute still.
He likes to communicate now. So that's huge. So if any couple was in our shoes, I would strongly suggest going to counseling. And when you go to counseling, be open and be vulnerable.
And be honest.
And be honest with where you are, first and foremost. The most important thing I want to tell someone in our shoes is that counseling is not bad. Individual counseling or married counseling is not bad at all.
Yeah.
If anything, like that should be the first thing, well, second besides prayer. Prayer first, counseling second. But counseling, go to counseling and tell the truth. Be vulnerable. Be honest.
I think it's very important that you're honest with where you are in life, who you are in life, because putting up the fake facade, it's only going to last for so long. And then when the real you comes out, people wake up like, whoa, who I married? Who are you? So, you know, when you get over meeting Jared and his bossy ways and things like that, kind of his controlling attitude, it becomes real comfortable.
I have to get some counseling for you.
I mean, I'm like,
listen, I had an issue with him, man. I'm like, I don't like no another alpha male. But yeah, I mean, it becomes accommodating after a while because you get used to the very direct questions, and he doesn't allow you to like go around the bush with it. You have to hit it straight, and it helps. It really does help. So as long as you come in open-minded and honest, I think it'll be the best benefit that you have, because we pivot all disagreements to, well, what are you trying to say? I hear what you're saying. This is what I interpret you're saying. Or when you say that, this is how this makes me feel. All of that stuff.
So it works.
Yeah, it works.
It's the way we love. With patience, listening, focus. It's the way we love. It's the way we love. With surprises, check-ins, and sacrifice.